I'm Matt Tench. You know, home is where we live in the present, reflect on the past, and make decisions about who we're going to be in the future. There may come a time in your life where you decide for you, your family, or your business, you need to change locations to best suit who you are at the time. I've had the opportunity to represent many people in various circumstances throughout my life, and I want you to know that no one takes this more seriously than I do. I know that your home or your business location is one of the most critical issues you'll ever face in your life. For many of you, it's your most valuable asset. So if that time should come, I want you to know I'm your realtor. Call me at 513-464-9836.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Julie, and you are listening to LTF Media. Today's episode takes us not to Franklin, but to Carlisle, where a small farm on Central, is at the center of a legal case that's gaining a lot of statewide attention. Honestly, it's not just a story about if a farm is operating illegally or not. It's a case that touches on food freedom, legal frameworks, and the ongoing debate over what it means to operate privately in a public regulatory system. So, if you don't know what Farm on Central is, it is a small family-run 8-acre farm in Carlisle, Ohio. It started back in the summer of 2020, and it's located in the Warren County area of Ohio. They emphasize the importance of growing safe food without harmful pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, if that's how you say that. They sell a wide variety of fresh produce, local goods, and baked items, and more. But what really sets them apart is their structure of their business. They are operating as a private membership association, a PMA. So that means that they are a legal entity that basically operates under the First and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution. And instead of providing goods or services to the general public, a PMA serves only its members. They're a group of individuals who voluntarily join the association and agree to its terms. And the idea is that within this private relationship between the members and the farm, members can, ideally under the PMA structure, members can exchange goods and services without the same level of government oversight that would typically apply to public businesses. Any public place like a McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever, they operate under the public regulatory system, which means that they go by the federal and state laws requiring them to have licensing, the correct licensing that they need. Apparently, PMAs are often used by health practitioners, alternative medicine groups, or farms selling raw milk, eggs, or homemade products that might otherwise be restricted by the public health regulations. It seems more like a movement than it is a legal entity. And it's really important in this case because advocates argue that PMAs and the structure that they run by are a way to reclaim personal choice. A lot of people say that the government has too much of authority in how we, buy our food, how we get our food, how we source it. But the critics of this structure, including the many public health departments, argue that these structures can be used to sidestep regulations designed to protect the customers from, getting sick or possibly, in the worst case scenario, possibly dying from a sickness, food poisoning, stuff like that. A lot of customers tend to trust businesses better once they know that the health department has been thoroughly inside their building and searched all of their the kitchenware and stuff like that. A lot of people like to know that they have the proper licensing because then they feel safe eating food from those facilities. And the reason why I'm even saying that is because the Farm on Central, they don't only grow food, but they have soup there and stuff like that. So customers do tend to trust the businesses that they find more cleaner. They find that their health inspections are up to date. just things like that. However, I do know that I've been to Farm on Central. Their store is very nice, very clean. The Warren County officials have been saying that they do not have the proper licensing because they have food there that they need licensing for, which means that when you don't have the proper licensing, you also have not been inspected. So that's just another look on this whole entire case that I wanted to bring up. If you think of the most disgusting kitchen that you probably have ever seen, picture that in your mind, and then think if you want to eat food from there. I know that's probably a very extreme scenario, but the point is that these health departments are saying that it's very important to get the proper licensing in health departments to search the buildings, say that they went into this kitchen. They're like, yeah, you're getting shut down. That's a really dramatic scenario, but that is why they built this structure in the first place, is to protect customers. But on the other hand, people believe that the government has too much authority, like I said earlier, and they don't want that. They want to be able to have food freedom, to be able to sell whatever they want, just like how we did back in the old days. They want to be able to build relationships between their customers, their members, and they feel like it's just constitutionally protected by, like I said, the First and 14th Amendment to be able to have these freedoms. Quoting from our comment section from the article that we recently posted about the farm, someone mentioned that this sounded like government overreach. So it depends on how you look at it and what you think about it. There's difference of opinion, obviously, and this is why this whole case is a big deal. So, Warren County officials filed for a temporary restraining order, in other words, a TRO, claiming the farm was operating as a retail food establishment. The farm claims that they are protected by the PMA structure, citing the First and 14th Amendments as their reasoning for why they do not need the correct licensing. And additionally, the farm argued that the temporary restraining order, the TRO, was overly broad, completely prohibited the sale of any food items at all. So in the beginning, they were basically shut down completely. They had to give away a lot of their food for free. So they lost thousands of dollars already. So they claimed the TRO was overly broad and it completely prohibited the sale of any food items. And then the prosecutor's office, upon reviewing this TRO, also agreed with them, and then they were ultimately, on June 19th, they were ultimately granted permission to partially reopen. So they were able to open their farm back up and sell hard goods and raw vegetables, which basically means like the produce that they were growing. And then hard goods would mean jellies, jams, things like that. So the farm's position has stirred a lot of controversy, like the recent Amos Miller's case. It was a high profile legal battle involving the use of private membership association, the same as Farm on Central. So, in Amos Miller, he is a farmer from Pennsylvania. He operated under a similar model, running a food co op that provided raw dairy and meat products exclusively to its members. So, same structure as the Farm on Central, but his case ended with a consent decree between the federal government and Miller's organic farm. The U.S. District Judge approved the decree. It was a court approved, legally enforceable agreement that settles a dispute without requiring a trial or an admission of wrongdoing. So no one was guilty on either parts. They couldn't say that it was a government overreach, and they couldn't say that the farm was doing illegal business. So there's no wrongdoing on either part. Under the terms of the decree, Miller's Organic Farm was ordered to stop selling and distributing meat and poultry products that had not been inspected in accordance to federal food safety laws. Miller's case, it became a flashpoint for the national food sovereignty movement, with many seeing it as an overreach. Like in this case, some people have even mentioned for the Warren County officials that they are claiming that it is an overreach, but others are emphasizing the need for consistent health standards regardless of their legal structure. A lot of people are saying that we need more food freedom. And then on the other hand, people are saying the health department has those laws in place for a reason to protect us as consumers. And the reason why it's relevant is because the central question in both the Miller case and the Farm on Central case is basically the same. Just because you are a private membership association, does that technically mean that you don't follow the same state and federal laws about public health and zoning regulations? And also, who has the final say? The private agreement between the members or the regulatory authority of the local and federal government? Many community members in Carlisle have expressed outrage over the shutdown, voicing strong support for the farm and its role in the local food system. A lot of supporters describe it as a valuable resource. Some see the court action as an example of government overreach, like I've said, arguing that the small farms and private associations should have the freedom to operate without excessive interference. Legal experts don't think that the PMA structures are grant immunity from all local, state, or federal laws, particularly when it comes to health and safety regulations. According to one former associate, the farm's leadership had at times expressed a willingness to push or work around regulatory boundaries. Additionally, concerns were raised about the farm's interactions with regulatory bodies. One account involved a tense exchange between the farm's leadership and a local health department official who had visited in response to a complaint, despite statements from the Farm on Central's Instagram claiming that no complaints had been filed. I think it's also important to note that on that same video where Michael, the owner of Farm on Central, goes on to say that he believes they try to paint them in the worst case scenario. He says, quote, "There's a lot of stuff they were putting in there to use as evidence against us, which is no longer taking place at all," end quote. It's worth emphasizing that these are definitely one-sided. However, we do know based off of the court records that a health department um, official did in fact visit the farm and warned them that they needed to get licensing because a lot of the produce that they had required a certain licensing. It is also on record where the farm replied that they were not going to get that same licensing because under the PMA structure, they believe the First and 14th Amendment protected their rights. So that raises the question, what is next for Farm on Central? Well, a hearing for the preliminary injunction is scheduled on Thursday, June 26th, and we will find out more details then. The farm has expressed that anyone is welcome to wear t-shirts in support of them or to make signs and support them during this time. They're asking their members to email the Warren County officials and to let them know how big of a value that the farm is to the community. So if you want to support the farm, you can visit their website, Save Farm on Central. They are actively reporting everything that's going on so they can be transparent with everyone. And if you don't know what you think, definitely check out the hearing so you can find out more information. To end this podcast, I'm going to go over a timeline. This all started when on December 11th, 2024, when an anonymous complaint was made against the farm on Central to the health department. December 12th, the next day, 2024, an investigator from the Warren County Health District visited the farm in response to that complaint. That's where they found all this food that they said needed proper licensing. December 17th, 2024, the Health District issued a notice of violation to Farm on Central for operating a retail food establishment without a licensing. And that's when the farm responded back saying that they didn't need that because the PMA structure protected them against public regulatory systems. On April 9th, 2025, a health department returned and noticed, quote, licensable activity, end quote. June 14th, 2024, a notice of hearing for Monday, June 16th was given to the farm. June 16th, 2025, a hearing took place and the judge ultimately granted the TRO against the farm. June 19th, 2025, the prosecutor's office reviewed the TRO, agreeing that it was too broad and allowed the farm to partially reopen and sell only hard goods and raw vegetables. And June 26, 2025, the preliminary injunction is set to happen on Thursday. So if you are wanting to support the farm, you can reach out to them or follow their Instagram. They have a website where they are giving updates, and it's called savefarmoncentral.com. You can definitely go to the hearing and support them with the sign or t-shirts. Or if you are not sure how to think about this, definitely check on the hearing. And yeah, well, that's all I have for you guys today. And thank you so much for listening. And I hope you all have a blessed day. Bye.